Hello students, the next circuit which we will try to understand is function generator. Basically this circuit is an oscillator. Okay, this is an oscillator which will provide oscillation of different functions. For example, this is sine wave, triangular wave or square wave. Okay, so these three types of waveform will be produced by this circuit, therefore it is called as function generator. Oscillation produce karega, or as we say function generator, it will produce oscillation of different functions: sine wave, triangular wave and rectangular wave. Let us first understand the basic front panel view of function generator. In the front panel view, there is a frequency selector which has a knob, say 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 9. Okay, then there is three knobs which will define the function, whether it will be a sine wave, a triangular wave or a square wave. And then this is the frequency range. There is knobs, say 1 Hertz, 10 Hertz, 100 Hertz, 1 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz or 100 kilohertz, like this. This will be the knob. So if you select say 3 and you select this knob which belongs to 100 kilohertz, the frequency will be 300 hertz. 3 multiplied by 100 hertz, that will be 300 hertz. So this is how frequency will be selected. So the oscillation which will be produced will be of 300 hertz, and if you select say this one, it will produce a sine wave. So such type of circuit has to be designed. That will be a function generator. Okay, so the first block, of course, here will be the frequency selector. This is frequency selector. Okay, so by this this is the process of selecting frequency. You will select a frequency and this is given to a block called as frequency to voltage converter. Okay, that means every frequency right from 1 Hertz to say 100 kilohertz, any frequency will be converted into voltage, equivalent voltage, and this voltage acts as the source for upper constant current source and lower constant current source. Okay, the difference between these two is that they are in phase opposition. If the difference, the phase shift between these two is 180 degree, they will be exactly opposite to each other. Okay, so upper constant current source and lower constant current source, and the input they will give, the output of this source will be connected to an integrator circuit. Okay, of course, integrator circuit. Integrator means, of course, what is integration? Accumulating small values at a over a time period or over a limit. Okay, that is what is called as integration. Here also what we will do is we will integrate small values of voltage over a period of time where the time constant will be RC. Okay, so that is the condition. Then next there is a block called as it will be called as voltage comparator and multi-vibrator. Multi-vibrator we have already studied in chapter number 5, sequential circuits, flip-flops, in paper 2. So that multi-vibrator will be used. Voltage comparator, output of voltage comparator will drive upper constant current source. Okay, and the output of this integrator will be given to voltage comparator and multivibrator, and output of the same integrator will be given to resistance diode wave shaping circuit. So that is how you will get three outputs: output 1, output 2, output 3. Let us now try to understand how exactly it works, right? So whenever you select a frequency from the frequency selector, that particular frequency will be converted into its equivalent voltage. This equivalent voltage is given to upper constant current source and lower constant current source. By default, when you start a function generator, upper constant current source will provide current to the integrator circuit. So what happens? The integrator circuit will integrate small values of voltage. The output voltage of the integrator will keep on increasing. Now this voltage is given to voltage comparator. The voltage comparator at a predetermined value, it will switch off the upper constant current source. As soon as the upper constant current source is switched off, lower constant current source will provide current to the integrator. This is an integrator circuit. Okay. Now what happens is, as I said, lower constant current source and upper constant current source are 180 degree out of phase. So what happens is, when 180 degree phase shift current will be provided to the integrator, the output of the integrator will keep on decreasing, right? Again, at a predetermined value, the voltage comparator will switch on the upper constant current source. Again, what happens is, the output of the integrator will increase. Predetermined level, the output upper constant current source will be switched off, lower current source will be activated, and that is how the output of the integrator will produce the first one, that is triangular waveform. So one function is produced directly at the output of the integrator. Now see, this integrator's output will be given to a multi-vibrator circuit. Okay, this is a bistable multi-vibrator. So we have a predefined states. Okay, say I will say 0 to 5 volt, 0 to 5 volt, 0 to 5 volt. Okay, if the amplitude is 5 volt. So the predetermined value we can consider it to be 2.5 volts. So what will happen is, 0 to 2.5 volt, the output of the multi-vibrator will be 0. As soon as it crosses 2.5, it will get triggered and the output of the multi-vibrator will become 1. And it will be 1. See, bistable multi-vibrator is, it will have 0 as stable state as well as 1 as stable state, but unless and until you give trigger, the output will not change. Okay, so 0 to 2.5 it will be 0. As soon as it crosses 2.5, it will become 1, and from 2.5 to 5 and 5 to 2.5 it will remain 1. As soon as it crosses 2.5, below 2.5, it will again become 0. It will be 0 till 2.5 to 0, 0 to 2.5, so it will be 0 up to this point. Again it will be triggered as soon as it crosses 2.5. So like this, what you can see is, when the triangular waveform is given as input to the multi-vibrator, what it produces is the square wave. So you got one more function. Okay, and if the same circuit, this is the output of the multi-vibrator. If the same circuit is provided to diode wave shaping circuit, okay, diode wave shaping circuit, this one, if the same input, if the same triangular input will be provided to the diode wave shaping circuit. Now diode is a device where the output increases exponentially. It's not linear device, it's an exponential device. That means this sharp changes will be opposed by the diode. It will smooth out that waveform. So what it will do is, the same waveform will look like this. So when a triangular waveform is passed through diode wave shaping circuit, what you get is a sine wave. So three different functions for the same frequency will be produced at the output. So basically generator is an oscillator which provides different functions, that is square wave, triangular wave and sine wave. Different types of function will be produced. So this is the working of function generator. Now for the syllabus of your 12th standard is reduced by 25%, so this circuit has been omitted. That means of course it will not be asked in your exam, but it has to be taught. So that's why I am sharing this video with you, so that you can understand the purpose of a function generator, its working, its construction, but of course it will not be asked in your exam. Make sure that you understand this thing properly, and there may be an assignment based on function generator given to you by your college teacher. So that is why it is important to understand the working and construction of function generator. I hope you have understood. Thank you. Hello students, the next and the last topic of this chapter is digital multimeter. In short we call it as DMM. See, basically digital multimeter is used for measurement of voltage, current and resistance. Voltage AC, DC, current AC, DC, and we measure resistance. Okay, so this is the digital multimeter. This is the screen where you see the display. There is a knob, right? There is a knob and there is a voltage range, VAC, VDC, IDC, okay, resistance, like this different range will be there, and there will be two more knobs from where two electrodes will be taken out. One is red, one is black. Black is always ground and red we use to measure voltage, current or resistance. But that means between these two particular knobs we will be measuring voltage or current. Either we connect, if you connect it in parallel to a resistance you can measure voltage. If you connect in series with the resistance, you can measure the current. And if you connect across the resistance, when the power is switched off, you can calculate the value of resistance. So basically that is what we will try to understand. Okay, so when we design a circuit, all this component, voltage, current, resistance, is converted into voltage, everything. Then if it is AC, we convert AC into DC, the circuit called as rectifier, which converts AC to DC. As it is a digital multimeter, the display will be digital, so you convert it into DC. Then this DC signal is converted, of course it will be an analog in nature, that means continuously varying signal. We have to convert it into digital, that is binary information, and then we give it to display. So this is the basic structure or construction structure of digital multimeter. Okay, so this is the red knob, this is the black one, which will be connected to ground. Okay, so say the first thing which we are measuring, say this is, we are measuring resistance. Okay, resistance. So of course resistance will be connected between, unknown resistance will be connected between the red and the black probe. Okay, now as soon as resistance is connected, what happens is internal constant current source get connected. It's nothing but a battery. Okay, battery. So now according to the formula, V is equal to IR. I is constant, so any change in R will produce corresponding change in V. That means we are converting unknown resistance connected between red and black probe into an equivalent voltage, right? Of course that voltage will be very small, so you need a circuit called as buffer amplifier. Okay, buffer amplifier to increase the strength of the signal. And as I said, internal constant current source, this is nothing but a internal battery, and battery is a DC source, so you don't have to convert it into DC, right? Directly the signal will be available for analog to digital converter. Okay, Next thing is, say, next is VAC, that means voltage AC. When you see a digital multimeter, what happens is, when you see a digital multimeter for voltage AC, it has only two scales, 750 volts and 250 volts, which is very high voltage to be measured. So what we do is, we don't measure that value, we attenuate that value in calibrated form. That means we measure 750 volt, but the value which is entered into the digital multimeter will be far less as compared to 750 volt in calibrated value. Say 10% of that value go inside the multimeter processes. While displaying, it will display again 750 volt only. Okay, so that is what is called as calibrated attenuator. So as it is already a voltage, you don't have to convert it into voltage, but you need a block called as calibrated attenuator. Calibrated attenuator, which will attenuate the voltage which being measured. Okay, of course it is AC. You need a circuit which converts AC into DC. So we have a rectifier which converts AC into DC. This in detail we will try to understand in chapter number 2, and then it is available for analog to digital converter. Next is IAC. Okay, so IAC, it is current. What you have to do is, you have to convert everything into voltage. So the first thing is current to voltage converter. Okay, as it is AC, you have to give it to the rectifier so that AC converted into DC, and then it will be available for analog to digital converter. Okay, so the current, when you measure IAC, there is a block called as current to voltage converter. Each current will be converted into its equivalent voltage, and then the rectifier will convert AC into DC, and it will make available for analog to digital converter. Okay, the next is, see what is this arrow marks indicates the position of the switch here, knob, which will select the range as well as the value which has to be measured. Okay, next is IDC. IDC means IDC. So IDC, of course it is current, so we have to use current to voltage converter. Okay, current to voltage converter we will use exactly similar to what we have done for IAC. Now it is IDC, you don't have to convert it into DC, so directly we can give it to analog to digital converter. And the last one on the list is VDC, voltage as well as DC. So no need to convert it into voltage, no need to convert use of rectifier, we don't need to convert AC into DC. So simply this block will give input to a circuit called as calibrated attenuator. Calibrated attenuator, and as it is in DC, it will be available for analog to digital. So all this input will be given to analog to digital converter. Analog to digital converter. I hope you remember we studied this topic in chapter number 6 of paper 2, converters. Okay, 5 circuits we studied, 2 of D2A converter and 3 of analog to digital converter, which is simultaneous type, counter ramp type, or successive approximation type. In all the 3, what happens is a voltage is converted into a binary information. So that is what is done by analog to voltage converter. Okay, analog to digital converter. Then the output of this analog to digital converter is given to a display, which will display the value of voltage current or resistance, whatever you are measuring. Okay, so this block diagram will give you 2 marks and 2 marks for the explanation of each of this block. Of course, you will get that in your notes. So this question will be asked for 4 marks. Very important question, and you make sure that you prepare this question thoroughly, so that you can write it in your exam in a proper way. Okay, 2 marks for the diagram and 2 marks for the explanation. So I hope you have understood. This is all about digital multimeter, and this completes your chapter number 1. Now we will switch to chapter number 2, that is power supply. In power supply chapter, you have we will start with you will start using diodes and transistors. So you need to know the basics of diodes. So that is what I will start when I start chapter 2. We will first go through the basics of diode. We have already done in logic families chapter, but the same thing has to be repeated once again, so that you can understand the working of the diodes which is used in rectifiers. Okay, so that is what will be the first video for chapter number 2, and then we will continue with the course material of chapter 2. Thank you so much.